Personally, I've always been fond of the Windows XP era of PC gaming. I'm not sure if it's just nostalgia or just the fact that it's compatible with so many Windows games. Windows XP was released over 20 years ago in late 2001. Despite that, it can easily run games and software from the late 90s all the way to the early 2010s. The trouble is, older hardware that can run Windows XP is becoming harder to come by, and when you do, it's usually been overpriced by a seller on Facebook Marketplace or eBay who slaps words like retro or vintage all over it. I think the best Windows XP gaming PC is not this or this. The best Windows XP gaming PC is, pause for dramatic effect, a Mac. Specifically, late 2000s iMacs. Putting together a period-accurate Windows XP PC can be fun, but it comes with a high cost, and it's usually hard to find reliable parts these days. Nowadays, you'll find these Macs for around 50 to 100 Australian dollars on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. And for this price, you're getting an Intel Core 2 Duo processor, dedicated ATI or NVIDIA graphics card, and an awesome LCD display, all in the one package. So let's take my 2008 iMac, chuck Windows XP Pro on there, couple of games, and see how it goes. All right, so I've got the iMac set up here. It's running macOS 10 Snow Leopard out of the box. We've got San Andreas running, but it's not on Windows. This is a port which is using the crossover engine, which is like based on Wine. It's a whole thing. That was like the way I played most of my games in my teens before I built a gaming PC. It was actually on a Mac, and then I got Boot Camp on there and blah, blah, blah. It's a whole story for another time, but this is actually running on macOS Snow Leopard. If I Command Tab out of it, you can see we've got the macOS desktop. So anyway, I will minimize this and we will pull up the About. So we can see we've got a 2.4 gigahertz Intel Core 2 Duo, 4 gigs of DDR2 RAM, sound card, we've got Intel High Definition Audio, video card, we've got ATI Radeon HD 2400 XT. This was a commercially available graphics card at the time. I'll have to see if these were upgradable to anything else or if it was on board. So still pretty cool. It's running on a 16 times PCIe lane. It's got 128 megs of VRAM. So you'll start to run into issues when you want to play some newer games at that higher resolution. So, you know, even something like San Andreas running at full res, we'll load up the Boot Camp Assistant and it'll explain to us how it will create a special partition. Download the Windows support software. Does this have a password? I'm curious if this software is still online. That'd be really cool. No, okay, never mind. I have the disc somewhere. I must have upgraded this some time back. I think it came with a 320 gig or 250 gig hard drive when it was new, but yeah, let's start the partitioning, split it exactly down the middle. I've come back to the machine and I've noticed that it says you'll need an authentic installation disk for Windows 7. I've just put the XP disk in there, which has just come up, nice. So I'm curious if it's gonna allow me to boot off on it or not. I guess we'll find out. Here we go, it's booting off the disk. Nice. Okay, so we can see Boot Camp has worked its magic and created a little partition for us to install on. I'm not sure if I'm meant to do a quick format or convert the partition, but I think I'm gonna go convert. I have done this recently, like within the last year or so, installed XP on a Mac, but I don't usually go the Boot Camp way. I usually just wipe the whole system clean. Because we've got a 2 terabyte hard drive in here, it just makes sense to keep them both on there, just in case I do want to use Snow Leopard for whatever reason. Unfortunately, I didn't select the right option the first time. I should have selected format, because once the first part of the installer was finished, it gave me like a disk read error or something like that, and it actually wouldn't boot from the hard drive. So I had to spin the installer up again, format the hard drive completely, and to format a 1 terabyte partition took 2.5 hours. So that's something to consider if you want to try this at home. What I'd like to do now is use Snappy Driver Installer, which I keep on a USB drive. And essentially what this will allow me to do is install the network driver. Once I got the network driver on there, I can pull all of the boot camp stuff off my file share. Okay, so there it is, Marvel Yukon. I know I could probably go in and, select all and install them through here, but it's not always a good idea to do that. I know that Phil's Computer Lab also shares the same sentiment, that you basically use this for the stuff that you can't find or whatever. Things like sound drivers and graphics drivers usually play up. Let's get the official Apple drivers down first. All right, so we've got everything copied over. I'm going to try running it straight from the setup. Another reason why you should install from the Boot Camp drivers is it comes with a bunch of support software for things like the volume buttons, eject button, brightness control, which you don't get if you don't have the software installed, just because the screen is obviously inbuilt and the brightness is controlled by the software. All right, so Boot Camp, that was really loud. Boot Camp has successfully installed itself. I really like the way this screen or graphics card or whatever it scales the pixels. It looks so good on the screen. I think it's called integer scaling. I always forget. Ah yes, so graphics drivers have picked up. Oh God, okay. I'm going to use this tool, the RoyTam1 browser installer, to install Serpent, which is a browser based on Firefox, one of the newer versions of Firefox. I found that it runs really well on Windows XP and Vista. AMD still have the driver for the 2400 XT. And what do we have here? So we've got a driver from 2013. Let's install that. It's a beta driver, but I'm sure that'll be fine. So as we get the benchmarking tools and these new drivers upgraded, I'll have a quick think about what games we want to play. And I know in the intro I mentioned compatibility, and Windows XP covers such a broad range of compatibility for games and applications. Okay, so it's a different day. I'm in a different shirt. I did a couple of 3D Mark benchmarks, which I will show the results now on screen. So if you want to do one of these benchmarks on your own Windows XP computer and compare them and see what you think in terms of the performance, but you can't beat the real world benchmark, which is just playing a game. I've loaded up a couple of games spanning a few years. I'm going to start with the oldest game, which is SimCity 2000, and this version is the Windows 95 version. Got the MIDI, general MIDI. I'll just mute that for now. First thing you'll notice is how Windows XP compatibility mode, it lets you load a game in 256 colors. And if you don't load SimCity 2000 in 256 colors, you get all sorts of weird glitches. So the game itself is from like 92 or 93, but this version's from 96 because it was originally like a DOS game, Mac game. Then they made like a Windows 95 port, which is what we're playing right now. And I gotta say, it looks stunning on this LCD. We are going to cause a monster invasion, alien invasion. Flood, earthquake. Uh-oh. Really loud. Alright. I freaking love this game. I think I spent so much of the initial lockdown period playing this game. So much fun. Very, very addictive. Just to show off how far back you can go with these games. And obviously there's nothing too crazy with this game. There's no 3D acceleration or anything like that. So this is the original Half-Life. Yeah, that is looking fantastic. And obviously, since Half-Life's running nicely, that means Counter-Strike is also going to run nicely. The keen-eyed among you might realize that this is the newer version, the Steam version of the Half-Life engine, which we've got Counter-Strike running off of. I've got Ice World. Oh shit. Out straight away. If I haven't already mentioned, my capture card is terrible and it's not doing how this looks any justice. And the game's crashed. Okay. Well, I've got to say this is a slightly modified version of the game, so you're kind of going to expect things like that to happen. But moving right along, I've got Diablo 2. This game runs at a fixed resolution of 640 by 480. I believe with the expansion it goes up to 800 by 600, but it is a fixed resolution. Want to, change it up a little bit. I feel like I'm always testing first-person shooters on these things. I haven't played this in a very long time. Ooh. Diablo 2 from 1999 works just fine. I expected it would. I just wanted to show off something that wasn't a first-person shooter. Got Nerf Arena Blast. This is one of the first games based on the Unreal Engine that wasn't Unreal, obviously. It's kind of like a deathmatch type game, but kid-friendly. Now don't judge, this game actually goes really hard, especially at LAN parties. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of random, different, unique weapons, all based on like Nerf guns and stuff. Don't knock it till you try it, definitely. Come here. Next, we've got Quake 3 Arena. Where is Crash? You can game on a Mac if you put your mind to it. Oh shit. Cool, so of course Quake 3 is going to run, and we've got the first Unreal Tournament, sometimes called Unreal Tournament 99. What I'm going to do is pump up the resolution on here. We're going to run the inbuilt benchmark. Let's see if I can remember. It's time demo 1 and then open city intro. There we go. I do have VSync enabled at the driver level. Yeah, we're basically maxing it out, average 60 frames per second. So let's run a quick practice session.
First blood.
Boom. I love how your head just sort of bounces around the map like that. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it runs beautifully on this system. Serious Sam, first encounter. It runs pretty well on like a Voodoo 3, which is what I mainly use personally. We'll just go 1280 by 1024. And I'll run one of these multiplayer demos. I just want to see how it runs, even at this resolution. Which, it's going to be fine. This game came out years before this graphics card, so. I love the Santa hat on that guy. Let's go with something a little bit newer. San Andreas. San Andreas is a game from 2004, and at the beginning of the video, I was running the Mac port version of this game, and I can already tell you this is running so much better than the Mac version. Obviously my capture card is stuck at 30 Hertz, so I can't go faster than that, but if you can maybe see from my camera, it's running really smoothly. It's running really nice. Obviously, there's not a lot of action going on. Maybe, if there was heaps of NPCs and gunfire and stuff, it might run worse. This is a game designed to run at 30 frames per second capped, or 25. It's meant to run with a pretty low frame cap, because even at 60 frames per second, you get all sorts of game breaking glitches. I just realized I've got inverted mouse on. Come on, give me the gun, give me the gun. Wasted immediately. If I look at the box, the recommended hardware requirements do say a 128 megabyte video card. We are meeting the recommended hardware requirements. Minimum is 64 meg, which I would not want to see how this game runs on a 64 meg card. This is a game that comes from around the same time that this Mac was new. So I think Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare came out in 2007, and obviously this Mac is from 2008. There was an official Mac port for this game. I remember that was my initial introduction to this game. Yeah, we'll just go sort of medium, but I'm gonna go max res because I do want to see how things go. Yeah, that is just a bit too choppy. There's heaps of screen tearing going on as well. Yeah, I would say this is not very playable. I'm gonna, oh, even just look at that like mouse, the way that mouse is being rendered. Yeah, really disappointing. I think to conclude, what this Mac running Windows is best for are the sort of early mid 2000s games, couple of late 90s games as well. It's one of those things where, you know, a lot of people sleep on these Macs because they just think all it can do is run Mac OS, and they either forget or they just assume it's going to be crap at running Windows. You know, those early to mid 2000s games are going to run beautifully on this graphics card. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I just wanted to, you know, show off a couple of things that this computer could do and why I think it's the best Windows XP computer you can get for your money. You know, 50 bucks and you get all-in-one system, webcam. It's got a webcam on there. I didn't even think to test that out. I'll take a picture with this. Nice. You know, let me know in the comments if you're interested in this sort of thing. Macs get a lot of hate for gaming. I think a lot of that hate comes from just not understanding and not seeing it or even giving it a try. If you do like this kind of content, let me know. If there's another game you think I should try that you think will run really well on it, you know, let me know in the comments. I might do a follow-up with maybe a different kind of Mac, maybe one of their laptops and go from there. You know, we've got the PowerPC Mac, so the pre-Intel Macs, which is a whole nother can of worms. There were a lot of great games for the PowerPC, some exclusives as well. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.